Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley, and if you're new here, I make content to help encourage Christian singles. I got a mic, and one thing I love about this mic is the fact that it's so low profile. Like, totally can't even tell it's there, right? It was heavy sarcasm. I also just wanted to welcome all my new followers. Thank you for following me. I also want to apologize, like my AC is blasting right now, so maybe this mic will help combat it. I also didn't do a sound check before this, so maybe my mic isn't even connected. So if it isn't, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe re-record this, but we'll see. Anyways, I think a lot of my new followers were from my last video, which was very popular. And I think I said the quiet part out loud. And there was a lot of comments, a lot of heated comments. And I just wanted to let you know that I am for the guys. I want to be a voice of encouragement for men and women. And all of my videos up until this point have been directed towards women, besides one I did for guys, like telling them how to be successful on dating apps. But besides that, even my last video was truly more directed towards the women, but more of like a frustration that I had. But all that to say, I think some of the comments were just thinking that I wasn't for the guys, and I really truly am. I encourage all of the women that I mentor and disciple to be women who feed life into the men around them and encourage them and also respect them. I am on TikTok quite a bit, and one thing that I do, any trends that are disrespectful towards men, I'm right in those comments telling women to respect men. A recent trend on TikTok was women filming their husbands, asking them, like, do you wish you were smart, when the guy was like really smart, or do you wish you were athletic, when the guy was like super athletic. And it's like kind of a joke to get at them, but at the end of the day, like, you're still kind of poking fun at someone that you should be respecting, and also diminishing what they have accomplished by kind of poking fun at them in that way. So I was in those comments being like, you know, if the roles were reversed and men were doing this to women, I don't think it would be as well as received. And just kind of challenging the women, like, why don't you make a video encouraging your husband, and why don't you make a video like praising the man that he is for you, that he is smart, or that he is athletic, or whatever the trend was, attacking for these men specifically of what they were really good at, just feeding life into that. And I think the dynamic of our social media has really just been to attack men and their talents. And I am in there fighting for you guys. So I just want to let you know, once again, I'm for the guys. And I did want to also just thank you for the men in the comments who were saying, you know, I truly am like trying to take care of myself, and I truly am trying to go to church. And unfortunately, most of my comments were men who had left the church because of church hurt. And I just wanted to address you guys and first of all say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the reason that you left your church. I'm sorry for the reason that you had some kind of church hurt. And I really want to encourage you to take that hurt to the Lord and ask Him to heal your wounds, and ask Him to come into the places that maybe you haven't even talked to about with someone else, and bring those to God. Because what the enemy wants to do is he wants to separate you from the church. He wants to separate you from a body of believers. And like in my last video, I really want to encourage you that just because you had a bad experience doesn't mean that you should stop going to church. And that's across the board for a male or a female. The church is where we find community. The church is where we find opportunity to serve and also to be fed into. And the church isn't just there to serve us. And I think that the more that we can get a heart that says, I am going to go to church no matter like what the offenses have been. And I'm not necessarily saying go back to the same church that hurt you. I'm saying fight for community, fight for the place where God has you to be. If it isn't in the place where you had the church hurt, find a different church. There, even if you're in a small town, maybe you can start like a small Bible study, just something to where you're weekly meeting with people who can pray for you and where you can pray for them. And especially as you're getting older, I would say, especially in maturing in your faith, you should be discipling someone. You should be mentoring someone. That is a progressive part of Christianity. And I think a big part of leaving church means that you're no longer doing those things. You're no longer challenged to do those things. And that's what I wanted to encourage you with. If you are a man watching this, just encourage you to battle back harder. And that is the thumbnail of my video. And kind of what I wanted to go into with some things that God has been showing me and just some raw emotions, raw feelings that I have been feeling as a single. So segueing more into why I'm doing this video. So I just wanted to say that little introductory for the men who are really trying and really just fighting to come back to church, that God wants you there, that you have a purpose, that God has a purpose for you, that you're valuable, that God hears the prayers of a righteous man, and that we want you. We, the women, need you in the church. So just want to leave that there. Anyways, back or starting with what I wanted to talk about today is something that I believe I have a particular gift and call in, and that is encouraging the body of believers, but also something that God has really just been teaching me as a single is to be someone who is unrelenting in their pursuit of God, even when things are really hard. And these last couple of weeks have just been really hard. I have just had like disappointment after disappointment, and really just a really low part of my life, if I'm being honest. I have had a lot of tears shed and a lot of discouragement and just feeling at such a low point that I just felt like I couldn't get back up. Like I felt like someone who had been pushed down and pushed down and pushed down, and then finally I was like, I think I'll just stay down here. And through a lot of prayer, a lot of tears, a lot of seeking the Lord, I found like some answers from God, and I wanted to share them with you. And it kind of ties into like your spiritual gifts. And if you don't know what your spiritual gifts are, I would tell you that they're what you're passionate about and what you're good at. What you're passionate about and what you're good at. And those gifts are grown through your obedience and walking in them. And a big spiritual gift of mine is encouragement. And another gift of mine is teaching and prayer. I would say those are my top 3 spiritual gifts. There's a lot of breakoffs into that, but by and large, those are my spiritual gifts. And I was really just discouraged in those. One thing when you have your gifts, you'll face a lot of opposition. You'll face a lot of discouragement because the enemy doesn't want you walking in your gifting. So as an encourager, kind of like a discouragement that I have as an encourager is taking the time to like write out a text or do something to encourage someone, and then there's like no response. And that happens to me a lot. That happens to me, and I just like will sit back in that and be like, okay, well, this person doesn't care, or this person doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm spending time in prayer for them or spending time to encourage them. And then if you get that rejection enough, it can be like, well, why am I even walking in this gift? And for me personally, that was something that I was facing, is just like, God, why am I even walking in this gift? It's not appreciated. And I as I sat in that, I was just thinking about all these other believers who are probably in that same place of whatever your gifting is. Maybe it hasn't been appreciated or it hasn't been highlighted, and maybe you're just in a season of discouragement about the gift that God has given to you, like I was. And as I sat with God about it, and I think it was kind of amplified in the fact that I felt rejected as just someone who's wanted. I have been single for so many years that I think the rejection of being wanted and the rejection of like my spiritual gift, and on top of other things, it was just like a lot. And I felt alone. Like, I felt alone in my struggle. And I was talking to God about it. And God just met me with a question like, is your gift for how people will respond to it? Or is your gift a sacrifice of praise to me because you love me? And somewhere along the line of walking in my gift and walking with God, that got flipped. It got flipped to the point where I was being encouraged by how people responded to my encouragements. Like that was giving me life. And while I think it's good to receive from your gifts, I just, like, God humbled me in the sense of, you're not doing this just so you can be fed back. You're doing this as an overflow of what I'm doing in your life. And then I told God, well, my life is pretty droughty. like um and then God was just really real with me, and he was saying to me, can you be faithful, and can you still walk in the things that I've given to you even though nothing is going good in your life? And I had to sit with that for a while, because like in my humanness, I want my prayers to be answered, and I want to see like some things happening for me. And the fact that they weren't happening, I was just very discouraged. And nothing has changed in that area. But what has changed is just a word that God gave to me. It was a while back. I may have even made another thumbnail about this. I don't even know. But I think I did, actually. So this will be number 2. That's, God will like repeat things for you. So, but the word that God was giving me is battle back harder. Like, in your weakness, I am your strength. And this is a pruning for you of what you think you're capable of doing. Like, the level of capability you think you have is gone. Like, your strength is gone. Your hope for what is happening in your life is gone. But can you let me be your strength? And can you trust me to be your provision? And it was a very humbling moment for me. It was a very laid bare before the Lord moment. And God just really asked me, like, if you never become a wife, if you never become a mother, will you still go hard after me? And I said, God, of course I will. Like, you've seen my years of singleness. You've seen that I've been faithful to you. And the question still remained. God was telling me, like, yeah, but now that everything has been stripped from you, will you still go hard for me? And I want to say, like, yeah, I turned really fast and was like, yes, Lord. But I told God, I was like, what about all these people who are getting engaged and having kids? And I told God, like, how much I wanted that and how much I prayed for that. And God didn't dismiss my emotions. God lovingly led me to a passage. I think it's in John 14. I was in the last part of a Hosea and John, so I can't really remember which chapter I was in. I'll have to put it on. But I was reading through John, and it was talking about whatever you ask for in my name, and it will be done. And God just spoke to me in that, like, start asking for your husband in my name. And I thought for a second, and I was like, I feel like I've done that, but maybe not. Like, I feel like I've done that. But I think more, rather I've done that in the past or not, it was more like, stand on my authority that I'm doing this for you. Like, stand on my authority that I am doing this because I'm a good father. Like, don't think that your hand has anything to do with what I'm going to do. And if you look back at, I think a couple videos ago, I was talking about how God really convicted me to get off dating apps. And it's not because dating apps are bad. It was just like a personal conviction for me that God was going to send my husband. And with that passage, I believe God was telling me, like, ask for your future husband in my name. But the part of that is standing on the authority that I'm going before you in your life. Standing on the authority that even though everything in your life is really terrible, your circumstances don't determine your power, and your circumstances don't determine your authority. And I need you to walk boldly despite all those things. I need you to walk in your giftings despite all of those things. And it's not because I've abandoned you, but it's because I'm teaching you to walk with the strength from me instead of the strength from yourself. And as a single woman who has been like my provider and just having like a lot of weight on myself for a lot of years, God is teaching me that He is the one who carries my weight. He's the one who goes before my impossible, and He's the one who walks with me in the valley. And I wanted to make this video because I'm not on the other side yet. I'm not on the other side. And I know there's a lot of people who are watching my videos who are not on the other side. They're deep in the trenches of suffering. They're deep in the trenches of the world calling to them, of the world telling them that if you follow this way, it will be better for you. If you follow this way, it will be better for you. But following after God is the narrow path. Following after God is suffering and dying to the flesh. And that is hard. That is hard and it's lonely. But I just want to encourage you that in that you have authority. In those moments of pain, of suffering, and walking separate from the world, you have authority to pray boldly. You have the power to know that Christ is with you, that there's no sin of separation separating you from the love of the Father. And I just wanted to make this video because I want to encourage you to battle back harder. Battle back. Don't stay laid down. Don't stay in the despair of your circumstances, even though they're legitimate. Ask God for help to walk in the authority that He has for you. Ask God for help to walk boldly in the gifts that He has for you. And be a warrior. I think about the book of Nehemiah and how they were called to rebuild the wall, and they were made fun of for wanting to build the wall. And people said it wasn't going to happen, that if a fox jumped on the wall, it would just all crumble down. And it says that they built with one hand and held a sword in the other. And that's the picture that God has for us, is the enemy is telling you nothing's going to happen. The enemy is telling you just to stay down. And God is saying, build with one hand and fight with the other. And I will build your wall. I will be your strength. Just follow me and walk in obedience and do the work. And if the enemy has discouraged you to stop in your giftings and to stop following him because of just disappointment after disappointment, I want to tell you that I understand. I want to tell you that I empathize with you, but that is not going to lead you to a powerful life. That is not going to lead you to a fulfilled life. That's going to lead you to a broken life. And I want to breathe life and hope back into you and say, battle back harder. Pick up your sword and begin the work that God has for you. And God is going to meet you in that. It doesn't mean that there isn't going to be suffering. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be hard battles fought. But it is going to mean that you are going to run into people who are going to breathe life back into you. It is going to mean that you're going to run into people and you're going to change their lives. And they're going to be there in heaven, and you'll see them because you made a choice to battle back harder. You were put on this earth for this time to be a warrior and to be someone who speaks life into other people. And I'm making this video to remind you of that, to remind you that you were chosen by God, to remind you that you have a purpose and God has a plan for your life. And I just wanted to thank you for watching this video. And one day we can rejoice in the victory of the Lord. But till that day comes, we will battle in the valley. Just thank you guys for watching, and pray your day is blessed. Bye.